conversation today about a few things. I know I kind of get under most of you guys who are of the liberal party skin. Sorry, not sorry. If my words hurt you, then you need to grow a thicker skin out there, folks. My thoughts and prayers go out to we had another church shooting in Michigan. My thoughts and my prayers go out to all the victims in this church shooting, and the church was burnt down in Michigan today. Um, I mean, how much is enough, liberals? I mean, now they're pulling bodies out of churches. People can't even go and worship at their own churches now these days because you feel in your feelings and you want to blame all Christians for what's going on in the world today in the United States. Yet you have to literally go and shoot up a church and burn it to the ground and kill innocent people. I thought we lived in America, guys. I thought being an American, we stood up to the bully and, spoke out against tyranny. To me, this is more liberal tyranny on another scale. The first church shooting done by a liberal. I'm not gonna bash trans people, but again, this is another incident that, you know, you left wing type of people are sitting there saying that you are tolerant of other people's religions and faiths and that you stand up for other people's rights when you're literally advocating for taking other people's lives away from them. I understand it's like a lone wolf type of thing. You know, these things do happen. Mainly, they usually happen by um, white nationalists, but here recently, it's been the opposite. The left These leftist loonies are literally burning churches down, guys. When you got people literally, how you doing, Snoop? When is enough enough? I mean, did you not get your ounce of blood with Charlie Kirk's assassination and then mocking his death? All you're doing, this kind of thing, is just furthering more distrust of the left, more hatred from the other side, and those people who are stuck in the middle. You're only doing a disservice to yourselves by doing stupid shit like this. You know? My thoughts and my prayers go out to the family of the shooting in Michigan, guys. We had that other church shooting. I forget where it was. But, it seems like this is a common theme with most of these people. I mean, you had that one lady that got literally arrested for making threats to a judge saying that all Christians should be killed, basically. Unalived, I'm sorry. Unalived. They should bring back the guillotine so they can unalive all of us who are of conservative persuasion or even Christian. It's a shame. But she got charged for threatening the judge and death threats. You got Greta Thunberg literally saying that um, all Christians should be genocided, but yet the same person who's got this flotilla off the coast of Gaza brought in some LGBT people on the flotilla to protest Israel, but yet the people in Gaza don't want her there because of that very reason for allowing the LGBTQ people to protest against Israel. They're basically advocating for a group of people who want to see the annihilation of anybody who's transgender or even of the gay persuasion. And they say we're the problem. I think they're the problem at this point. And we're only seeing they're what they truly are. They're demonic. And as Christians, we should pray for these people, honestly, and maybe hopefully that they can see the light and they can change their lives around. But I don't see that ever happening. Of course, we live in the end times, guys. This is what in the book of Revelations it told us about. People won't know sin for sin. I mean, I do see a lot of these people that are protesting. against the war in Gaza. You know, they're advocating for Palestine over Israel. I know a couple days ago in the UN assembly, they walked out when Benjamin Netanyahu came in to give his speech. Look, I don't agree with some of the policies as a Christian. All life is sacred, even Muslim life is sacred to us as Christians, and we don't want to see the deaths of anybody, including Muslims, because we love everybody. Um, and you know, I don't agree with some of the policies that are going on in Israel right now against the Palestinians, because there is a lot of Palestinian Christians that are being oppressed on both sides and are being harmed in this whole situation as well. It's not just the Muslims who are being unalived in Gaza, but to basically single out a whole group of people to want to commit genocide on them is a horrible concept. I thought the UN stood up for something: no more war, peace for everybody. But yet they're advocating for a terrorist group, but yet they don't talk about the hostages and the fact that you know, countries like Egypt are not allowing the border to open so they can get food into those who need it in Palestine. You know what I'm saying? And then the UN General Assembly literally recognized Palestine as a state. You got Keir Starmer, the English PM, basically giving them $5 trillion. What are they going to do with $5 trillion? Make more weapons to kill more Israelis? Because that's what it seems to be. All they do with the money that the UN gives them, they basically are protecting Hamas, who is designated as a terrorist organization. And they say they're killing innocent women and children, but I see them killing their own people who are going over to try to get food and take their food away from them. The ones that are, you know, when they do get food in there from, I guess the Americans were there for a while, and then the Hamas terrorists were shooting at them and stealing their food from them and eating it themselves while their own people starve and suffer. And then they blame the Israelis for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, all objectives have pretty much have been met in Gaza. But honestly, you think Israel's going to allow Hamas to regroup and then regain control in that region? No, they're not. They don't care what the UN has to say. All they do is talk and use big words, but yet they're promoting and protecting terrorists against those people who are trying to protect themselves from people who want to kill them and take their children and women hostage. Did they forget what happened in October last year? Well, 2 years ago or something like that, October 11th. They forget what they did to babies, women, and children, even foreigners who were there just visiting. I mean, German citizens got murdered. American citizens got murdered. Plenty of Europeans got taken hostage. But yet they don't care about the fact, you know, that they want to protect these terrorists over the people of Palestine who need help, who are there. You know, there is a huge Christian community in Palestine. Both sides, they sit there and say they're tolerant on both sides. I'm going to call out both sides. I'm sorry. When you have Israelis killing, unaliving innocent Christian Palestinians in their villages as well, burning their trucks and villages, and their local Israeli people going in. Both sides are to blame for this. Years of apartheid oppression on the local inhabitants. It allowed Hamas to gain the power structure that it did because you had disillusioned and disenchanted people that lived in Palestine, because then it is a breeding ground for recruitment to that terrorist ideology. You know what I'm saying? Instead of building bridges, they burnt them down because of their intolerance towards each other. I mean, if you don't remember what happened in Camp David in 1995 under the Clinton administration, when they brought Yasser Arafat and I forget who the prime minister was at the time. They brought him into Camp David for, you know, basically giving Palestine their independence and, basically trying to do the two-state deal. It failed. The two-state deal was just a band-aid on a bigger wound because neither side were going to live up to any of their obligations. Israel was not supposed to build on the West Bank settlements, and Palestine was not meant to build weapons, but all that money they gave to Palestine to, build a water system to help Palestinians get fresh water. They were using all that money that the UN gave them to build weapons. So both sides are pretty much to blame for the turmoil they got going on in their country. Instead of uniting with each other, they want to destroy each other. Both over religious dogma, basically, because the Jews believe that all that land belongs to them, and it was promised to them by God that the land should never be split asunder. And the Muslims, they don't want to see the Israelis there. They want to push them all the way to the sea and see their annihilation. So when you got two sides that believe that they both own the Holy Land to the point to where it's preordained by their own faiths to basically say one is not supposed to be in the land over the other, then that's where you're going to have major contention in the region over that. How you doing, WJ? How you doing, Chihuahua Mama? And that's where you're always going to have contention between the Muslim Arabs and the Jews. Because most of the people who dwell within Palestine are not the original inhabitants of Palestine. Those were Arabs that came over from places like Libya and places like Jordan, the settle in the land with the Bedouins, you know what I'm saying? But the land, the Israelites always lived in the land, they never really left until 1948. When you had the resurgence of the land of Israel with a lot of the Jewish people returning to the land, which was in the Bible, But again, this is what what people don't get. This hatred goes back, but unfortunately, one side will hijack, other people's political movements, but won't allow them to basically come in their own country if they support like gay people or, you know what I'm saying? Most of the people that are advocating for Hamas, which is Muslims, are advocating for a religion that discriminates against them. Make that make sense to me. They would never be fully accepted if they were able to basically get Sharia law passed in their own home countries. They wouldn't survive long. Let's say, take an example is let's say Europe becomes a Muslim country, right? All those people that advocate for the Muslims that are of that persuasion will be unalived by them, And then they sit there on their moral high horse and want to talk about committing genocide against a whole group of people or a faith of people. That's including Jews. They want to unalive Jews too. Anti-Semitism is really bad in Europe amongst the native populations of Europeans and the Muslim Europeans. You know what I'm saying? But yet, their own laws protect that kind of thing. And unfortunately, it's getting like that here in the United States as well in some places. I'm not saying all Muslims are bad. I think a lot of Muslims want to see some kind of reform in their religion so people could take them seriously. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. And I've known a lot of Muslim people, and they're great people, and they're hardworking people, and they just want to take care of their families and stuff like that. But unfortunately, elements within their own faith won't allow that. You know what I mean? But I don't in my own mind, I can't see how people couldn't support this and be in the LGBTQ community and try to advocate for people like this, and then want to basically blame the Christians and the Jews for everything that's going on in the world today. Sorry, it's not like that. Take responsibility for your own actions. But you're advocating for a group of people that are intolerant toward the way you live. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, people won't know sin for what it is. You know what I mean? And we have tragic incidents like Charlie Kirk. We'll have more tragic incidents of people shooting up churches. And, if it does happen, though, in this country, if the liberals do get into office again and, you know, they want to advocate for all these other groups again, we're going to be stuck in the whole situation all over again in our own country with intolerance towards certain faiths and religions when our own laws protect these faiths and religion and freedom of speech to speak out against the injustice in this world that we're seeing now. But if they could take away the right of freedom of speech, then they're no better than the people in power that are trying to facilitate taking the rights away from one group of people. You know what I mean? How you doing, Carla? I mean, it's like this whole situation we got now with Trump wanting to take away all the transgender folks' ability to own weapons. I mean, firearms in general, which is against the Constitution. I mean, even the NRA came out and chimed in on this and saying that the Second Amendment should not be infringed. Even the laws on the books we have now are illegal and against the Constitution. I'm all for letting everybody have the right to own a firearm, even transgender folks. I think they should be able to, own firearms to protect themselves. I mean, you got people within that community that don't think like the other liberal LGBTQ people on the other side at least, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think you can try to justify taking the rights away from one group of individual people and then they want to take our right to exist away. So it's like a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. You know what I mean? I don't think they should be taking the rights away from. I mean, look, if they're out making death threats to individuals or other groups of people, they should be looking into those people, yes, but they shouldn't be taking their rights away because they haven't quite acted on it. But yes, they should be investigated and they shouldn't own guns if that's the case. You know what I mean? If they're threatening to harm others, and their words are reaching other people, which is advocating basically violence on other folks, then yeah, I think they should be looked into, but not taking a whole entire group or gender of people's rights away like their guns because of that. You know what I mean? We have so many, but they kept safely. Kids, grandkids. Yeah, you got to keep them away. But I mean, that could also it does set a dangerous precedent, though, folks. If you know the people that are in power now could take their guns and rights away, and then when they're no longer in power, and let's say the liberals become they get a liberal in power over the presidency, they could do the same thing to anybody, an African American, Chinese American that are conservative. Oh, they're conservative. They're all wing nuts. They're deplorable. We need to take all their gun rights away. It does set a dangerous precedent, In a way, I kind of think by them doing this is setting a trap for the liberals to where they have to basically defend the transgender community's rights to own and bear firearms. It basically all they're doing is setting a trap towards the liberals are already anti-gun anyways. You know what I mean? So they're going to have to basically defend the rights of those people who they want to take their gun rights away from, because not all transgender people are bad people. I know many, many gay people, transgender people that are like-minded people. They don't want to get involved in this stupidity. They think it's stupid. It's giving them a bad look in society, and most of those people that I know from social media or in my own real life own weapons and they're responsible gun owners. So should they have their rights stripped away from them because they're Transgender? No, I don't think they should have their rights taken away from them. I don't think anybody should have their rights taken away from them unless they're violent criminals, somebody who has used weapons to hurt people or, they're inciting violence. I think, yeah, they should be looked into. I mean, there's laws already on the books for domestic terrorism. They should be looking into these type of people. You know what I mean? Instead of taking the rights away from a group of people because you don't like them. You know what I mean? It sets a dangerous precedent on both sides. It really does. Not just for the liberals, also for the conservatives as well. Because eventually they could use that against conservatives as well to say, oh, all conservatives are white nationalists or blah, blah, blah. Because I know a lot of conservatives like me, I'm mixed race. And I know a lot of African American folks that are conservatives that are frightened about what's going on right now within our own party. You know what I'm saying? It's scary. And and again, it's this propaganda that is spewing out on both sides. I think at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We need to settle our differences with our opinions and with our debates. We should debate each other. We should debate the reason why the problem that we have with all these type of things going on in the world today. Systemically, it is mental illness. Instead of passing laws to take people's rights away, but they should invest more into mental illness facilities to help these people out that are mentally ill. You know what I mean? If they're making threats, they need to be dealt with instead of just stripping a whole group of people's rights away just to suit your own narratives in your own political party. Because again, those people that are in power on the left should be ashamed of themselves for promoting this type of thing within their groups. You know what I'm saying? Saying that, there should be more martyrs and that they should genocide a whole group of people. This is the kind of fervor that incites other people to do horrible things to other people. Instead of doing that, they should be speaking out against that kind of behavior within their own groups, in their own parties. If they really want to say they're the party of tolerance and peace, then they need to practice what they preach on both sides. And that's coming from a conservative. I'm a conservative, and I don't believe in both of these sides, you know, propaganda, dude. I don't. I think it's very destructive and very dangerous to be spewing these kind of things out of your mouths that can cause other people harm. And we won't be getting a lot of these incidents that we're seeing now in our own country or around the world. I mean, it's not just happening here. You know what I mean? It's happening in Europe, it's happening in the Middle East, Africa. People are killing Christians in Africa because of religious dogma. You know what I'm saying? Because they promote that kind of thing. But sadly, that's the state of the affairs that we live under because of intolerance. And they say they're against intolerance of other races and creeds that are, racist and this and that. But yet that I mean, one wrong don't make a right. They're just doing the same thing as those people they're singling out, and in those groups as well. You know what I mean? When will it end? Probably never. You can never breed away hate. Hate will always stay with the human race until the end of time. You know what I mean? It's so sad how our world has changed. I worry so much for my kids and grandkids. Yeah, that's something you gotta worry about, Carla, because the way the the world's going right now, and people using other people, manipulating other people into believing things that aren't true about other groups of people. You know what I'm saying? Real Christians will never agree with principalities. That's people who are empowered. They use the Christian religion on both sides, or they use some kind of like pseudo new age religion to manipulate people into believing that their side is right and the other one is wrong. You know what I'm saying? As a Christian, we're supposed to put our faith in God. You render to Caesar what's to Caesar's, and you render to God what's God's. And if anything conflicts with your faith, you don't have to go along with it. You know what I'm saying? You can't love one master and hate the other. Jesus said this himself. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they don't have any light in their lives. They've allowed sin to take over their very lives because sin to them, sin is easy, you know? You know, the old saying, like, you sell your soul to the devil for fame and fortune. Unfortunately, the devil uses his influence. He doesn't come out with some fancy contract and say, go ahead, sign your life away and I'll give you everything you want. But at the end of the day, the devil always gets his due, and he takes his ounce and measure of your life away from you. Ultimately, you'll suffer because of it in your own life, but you'll end up blaming everybody else for your problems instead of finding the middle road and, believing in something more than yourself. You know what I'm saying? But yet they want to just keep living in the sin. There's no nothing good about sin. I mean, it's just you just dwell on things. It makes your life worse and worse. You can't have good relationships with other people. You can't hold conversations with people. You become more intolerant and ignorant and aloof from other people, mistrustful of other people, you know? And we see that in our society today, and that's what we have to deal with now because of sin. You basically sign your way for fame and fortune or some kind of attention instead of being humble, but you're never going to get any satisfaction out of living that way in your life. It only becomes more self-destructive. You'll never change anything in your life, and you'll never go forward in life. You always will suffer more if you don't give yourself to something better or a purpose in life than hate. And then more intolerance only breeds more intolerance. You know what I mean? And then you'll have more situations that you have now. I mean, honestly, that to me is when people sign themselves over to Satan, basically. I mean, if you want to believe in that kind of thing or not. But that's what people do, and they don't want to put God in their lives. They don't think God exists. Again, the greatest trick the devil ever played on mankind was making humans not believe that to make humans believe that he never existed in the first place. If he could do that to you, he can make that happen in your lives with God. He doesn't want you to have a personal relationship with God at all. He wants you far away from God so he can torment you. You think the world in itself cares about you? No, it doesn't. Time don't stop for you. You know what I'm saying? But if you put yourself for something and you do things for others instead of yourself and being selfish and blaming everybody else for your problems, your life can be fulfilled, but you can't do it without God, period. Without God in your life, you cannot go forward in life, period. I mean, I'm not rich, I'm not famous, but I got God in my life and I'm happy with that. I know you can say whatever you want to say bad about me. I don't care because you're always going to have your critics, especially when you follow God or, Jesus in general. Um, it's not the easy road. People will ridicule you, spit on you. But again, you're supposed to be an example to others and try to teach people and not let people take away your happiness away from you. You should be happy and humble within your own life, knowing that you have God there. You know what I mean? Because without God, you can't move forward. You become repressed and a prisoner of your own soul, basically. But how is everybody doing today? Happy Sunday, everybody. I did say prayers for the church shooting in Michigan. My thoughts and prayers go out to their loved ones and family. It is a horrible situation, guys. We're seeing more and more of this type of destructive behavior. And, as a conservative Christian, I do pray for everybody. I'm not saying that I'm not MAGA. I ain't nothing, you know. I'm a Christian first, conservative kind of second. But I do like to call out both sides for their hypocrisy. You know what I mean? Because both sides don't stand on anything or their morals or this. They just basically hijack our whole religion to try to confuse other people into believing that they're for them when they're not. These people are demonic in nature. They only care about themselves. Remember that, folks. People that you think who you vote for have your well-being in mind, they don't. Only rely on yourselves, your family, you know, and try to make your own lives work and try to instead of worried about other people. How you doing, Carrie? Good to see you. I hope you're feeling okay. I know you had surgery and stuff. I didn't know about the shootings. I woke up and saw you live. Yes, yes, it is a real thing, y'all. They just had a shooting in Michigan. It's horrible. They're pulling bodies out of the church right now. It hurts my soul just to think about people getting unalive for no reason, all because they wanted to go to church and you know go praise God. You know what I mean? It's sad that we gotta. This kind of thing's been happening lately, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse before it gets any better. But you should pray and be in your own light with God and your own personal relationship with God, and knowing that you are right with God because there's a there's a better place for you out there besides this world. Because the world's entrapments are money, greed, sin, of the flesh, and everything else that is wrong with this world now these days, guys. Pray for each other, pray for your loved ones, because Lord knows we all need it. Don't pray for me. Pray for those who are less fortunate in life. Like homeless people. There's a lot of homeless people that need prayers. Um, sick people in hospitals that need prayers. Little babies that are sick in hospitals need prayers as well, because at the end of the day, they're the innocent ones. They need the prayers and mentoring too. But unfortunately, we only think about ourselves now these days. We don't think of others. And honestly, that is the worst part of the whole situation of humankind now these days. They just, as long as it don't affect them, they don't really care about it. Oh, ain't that caring, Carla? I'm not that perfect. I do have my bad side about me sometimes. None of us are perfect, you know. Do you know what part of Michigan? I'd have to look it up, but you may look it up for you real quick. Fancy. Hang on. Oh shoot. Let's see here. I'll find it for you, Fancy. Hang on. All it's saying is it's in Michigan. I'm not really sure quite yet. Grand Black Grand Blank Church shooting. That's what it's called. Let's see. Live updates. Michigan church engulfed in flames after shooting injured multiple people. Multiple victims have been injured following a church shooting. Let's see here. I gotta read the whole thing here. Let's see. Update live church shooting. One person dead, several injured. And of course, my computer's blocking me from reading the rest of it. Stupid thing. Somewhere in Michigan. Let's see here. Yeah. Let's see here. Sunset, one injured in shooting at Michigan church. Police say, let's see. I don't know. I'll just give you the link to it, and you guys can go look at it yourselves. It was blocking me from the news website because I needed an ad blocker or something. Let's see here. I can't hear you guys. guys go. I'll pin the link. You guys can go watch it yourselves, guys. It's pretty sad. They were pulling bodies out of it. I think there's one death so far and a bunch of injuries. Okay, here you guys go. Oh, it's too long. Dag nabbit. Sorry, I can't get you the link. Maybe a YouTube link. Let me find you a YouTube link. Jeez Louise. This is stupid. Let's see here. YouTube video. Let's go to a YouTube video. Okay, let's try this. Okie dokie. Copy. Dag nabbit. Stupid mouse. Come on. My power went out earlier, guys. I've been dealing with this kind of crap today. Why can't I delete that, man? Stupid thing, man. I swear this is not working out the way I wanted it to. Let me refresh my page. Maybe that'll work. Dag nabbit. This is why I hate anything to deal with technology, guys. It really does stink. Okay, I had to clear that block out. Maybe this will fix it. Dag nabbit. Come on, mouse, work. I'm working with a broken keyboard here, guys. While I'm on here. Hey, happy Sunday, Chella. Good to see you, by the way. God bless everybody here who showed up today. I might leave this one up because I ain't talking about anybody in particular. And there is the link for you guys to go watch it. I tried to pull it up and read it to you guys, but it just did not want to cooperate whatsoever. It's called Grand Blanc Church. It's in Michigan. Let's see here. CNN church shooting and fire. Let's see if I can pull this page up and maybe read it to you. But no, is it going to do the same thing? Yes, I agree with the terms, fuckhead. It's a million things. Okay. Come on, man. I hate this thing. I swear. Stupid computer is just never... I'm going to have to start putting my new computer in here. At least one person and 9 others wounded after shooting in Michigan church. Let's see. Where is this church? That was today. At least one person was killed and 9 others were wounded in a shooting at a church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Oh, well, that would be a Mormon church. But still, you shouldn't be killing Mormons anyways, you know? That's sad. A Mormon church got shot up in Grand Blanc, Michigan, according to police. Authorities say the shooter rammed their vehicle through the front of the church during a large service and began shooting. Officers unalived the gunman. Police say the shooter intentionally started a fire at the church, which grew... Let's see here. Authorities say the rammed vehicle. Officers unalived the gunman. Police say the shooter intentionally started a fire at the church, which grew into a large blaze. Officers believe they will find additional victims when it is safe to enter the building. So right now the building's on fire. Grand Blanc is a suburb of Flint, Michigan. So it's Flint, Michigan, y'all. And is located in an hour's drive away from Detroit. So it's a big city, and it's in Flint, Michigan. So we really don't know why this has happened quite yet, but I'm sure it'll lead to something. And it's probably some kind of hate crime related type of thing, or, you know, maybe it might have something to do with politics. I really should be jumping the gun about this, but it's still bad. Still bad. So it was in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. Probably, yep. But we still they don't know the shooter's reasoning for what he did. It's a Mormon church, but still, it's still a church. People were going to Sunday to go and worship God, and this kind of thing happens, unfortunately. And the left has been responsible here recently with a few lone wolf actors. You really can't blame all the liberals for this. It's just a select group of crazy people that shouldn't be allowed to be doing this kind of thing. I mean, I don't know the shooter's motives yet, but I'm sure as long as time goes on, we'll figure that out down the road. Still, yeah, it's still unaliving innocent people no matter what you look at it. It's still bad. It's still a bad situation, and it shouldn't happen in this country. But unfortunately, it does. I mean, you can't really blame all liberals for, mass shootings. Most of them are done by white nationalists or people who hated other people for their, race or their ethnicity, because we've had school shootings, um, the Aurora, Colorado shootings, in the movie theater. Um, that Senator Kathy Gifford or whatever her name was unalived with a bunch of other people in Florida. You can't really blame all liberals for it, but here recently it has been liberals that have been doing it. But again, it doesn't help any situation out for certain parties and groups of people when they stoke this kind of violence in the first place by saying things they shouldn't be saying. Unfortunately, it incites other people to do these kind of things. You know what I mean? Not saying that this is politically motivated or anything. We won't know until, later on about this shooting, you know. But or the fire in general. Yeah, crazy is crazy. It don't matter which side you're on. I mean, but unfortunately this kind of thing will keep happening because, other groups of people are easy to sway because, people are easy to manipulate, because if they already believe in a thing, and that's their whole belief system when they're doing stuff like this. It inspires other lone wolf actors to do the same thing within their own groups. But, unfortunately, this is where our society is. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember um, a guy named Willie Cruz. This is in the 80s. I remember this. I went to visit my dad. My dad came to visit me, and one of my uncles lived in Palm Bay. This is like 86, I believe. And my dad took me to a grocery store, and I thought I heard somebody like throwing firecrackers. And I remember my dad getting me out of my chair in his car and putting me underneath the car and told me not to move, and he went and got his gun. But the cops had already arrived, and Willie Cruz had done shot a bunch of people in the parking lot, but I didn't move. I thought my dad was dead, you know what I mean? And then like an hour later he came and got me. I was crying and I didn't know until years later what happened. This guy named Willie Cruz went into a Winn-Dixie and held people hostage and shot up the parking lot before he got arrested, basically. And he was a white guy. It was racially motivated. He didn't care. I mean, but you can't just say all liberals are, mass shooters and shit. It's again mental illness and people that shouldn't own firearms in the first place. Unfortunately, we didn't have the internet back then. So, people weren't doing their whole poetic manifestos and, making threats of violence on other people. Unfortunately, we didn't have that kind of thing back in the day. I think, wasn't there a spree shooting at a McDonald's in California in the 90s? I mean, this is nothing new. This is just, but it's more politically motivated now than it ever was, because one side hates the other side, so they want to see them bleed just as much as they feel like they're being oppressed when they're really not. But believe me, I mean, the whole Charlie Kirk incident was horrible, dude. That should have never happened. I mean, if that person felt the way they felt, they should have freaking not listened. They should have unplugged, and maybe got some psychiatry, maybe got some mental help. But unfortunately, there was a lot of people involved in that that were basically people of interest that have left the country. You know what I'm saying? So that was It was bigger than it really was. I mean, I know Lance Twigs, which was Charlie Kirk. Oh, not Charlie Kirk, but Tyler Robinson's boyfriend has basically. I don't know if he was involved, but he knew about what was going on, and he had told his boyfriend that he had a fucking basically his last letter underneath his keyboard in his room. He knew about it. They were in a private call. Why didn't he call the cops when all this happened? You know what I mean? But that dude, he's in hiding right now. He they can't get a hold of him. You know, I think he might be MIA from the country. Who knows? We don't. Nobody knows where he's at. He's doing this for his own protection, I guess. I don't know because people want to hurt him because his boyfriend killed fucking Charlie Kirk. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that were in his group calls that knew about this thing that are no longer on the internet. That's just kind of weird. Hey, how you doing, Yoakum? Tell my sister hello. How you doing, sister Yoakum? Yeah, I know. Some people think it was a bigger conspiracy. Who knows? You know. But again, that's up to the FBI to look into that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But I guess the dude's in hiding because for his own protection. I guess he's squilling on his boyfriend right now, and his boyfriend is going to get the death penalty. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And the state of Utah is looking for the maxed death penalty for that guy. I mean, I guess he didn't really think this through very well, did he? When he shot Charlie Kirk. There's always an action for every reaction. And there's literally people advocating for this dude to get him a lawyer. They even got a GoFundMe online to get this guy a lawyer. And they think that what he had done wasn't a crime. It was like basically, it was good that he did this. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't. And now his family ain't going to have a father. His kids ain't going to be able to grow up and know their father because of one stupid incident. You know what I mean? But again, I mean, I pray for his family. Charlie Kirk was a good man. Love him or hate him. Some things I agreed with what he said, and some things I didn't agree with what he said. Either side is not right in this situation. They try to use the man's death like but unfortunately, the left had just basically martyred him, and they made the whole situation worse by mocking him. So, just more intolerance breeding more intolerance. You know, what you been up to, Yoakum? Go under the jail, better off with why keep him in jail. It's probably true. I mean, I believe in if you do harm to others, that harm will be done to you. I mean, it's in the Bible. Tooth for a tooth, eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, man. You know, you do something like that, then you're going to be punished for what you do. That's just the way the law works. And these people think they're above the law. And they think that what he did was all right. When there's consequences for these type of actions. You know what I mean? Just cleaning house. She cleaning your house. Is it dirty, bro? I don't know, bro. I've been like myself. I was doing some yard work for a friend of mine, and I don't know, man. I didn't feel good that day or something, and they got this like little whole side of the cliff. You know what I mean? I was weed whacking downhill, and I slipped and fell. I guess because the ground was still kind of damp and wet, and I rolled into a bunch of freaking greenbriers, and they tore me up, dude. My whole hand is all janked up. I'm still bleeding out of my fingers and stuff. It's pretty bad. But I'll live. I was doing like the last of the season's yards because we've been getting nothing but rain and everything's done grew up again because of it. I thought last month would have been the last time I'd had to do any yard work, but I did some yard work yesterday. I got tore the F up majorly. My hands are all messed up. I've been digging greenbriers out of my legs. bad, these things are just as bad. It's like nature's barbed wire, y'all. That shit tears you up, bro. I slipped, rolled down the hill a little bit, but I ended up in a whole big ass like blackberry bush slash greenbrier bush. Man, I got tore up. Ugh. I'd show you my fingers, but man, it's pretty gruesome. I'm gonna start wearing gloves, dude, when I do yard work from here on out. I wasn't thinking about it, to be honest, and I thought I could just get away with getting that yard done real quick, and I ended up falling down the freaking hill. Plus that too, this weather's got my allergies all pegged out of whack. You know what I mean? I hate yard work. I do too, but I gotta do it if I want to make some money. You know what I mean? Plus that, I did like, I don't know, 3.5 acres yesterday on this lady's property in fucking Wyoming. Wyoming County. They pay me good money, so I do it. But I try to keep it like, to where I got to do it all the time. I use their lawnmower and shit to mow the yard, but yeah, it's a lot of work. Especially when it's all mountain like that. Get out of here with it. Drinks and I ain't falling for that one, buddy. You're not gonna clip me saying that. Maybe your sister likes some Dixon cider. That's what the rumors are always been going around, Steve. I will pay you good money to where you live, Debbie. Virginia? That's kind of a far drive for me, honestly. I don't know what part of Virginia you live in. You want to come and pick me up? I'll do it. 3 squares a day. You got a lawn equipment? I'll do it. You want to come to West Virginia and pick me up? I'll do it for you. I don't do much on the weekends. You got a big fat sister that needs some attention. I'll pay some attention to her too. If you want to hook me up with your sister, I need a big girl. I'm joking. I need to get all that stuff. Well, yeah, you can get some good lawn equipment. I mean, I don't know how much property you got, Debbie. You got a lot of property. You just got a little yard. I could recommend you some stuff if you need to. I mean, pretty much all the stuff that I do reviews on are pretty good stuff. I mean, you'd be good with either or. If you got like a lot of property, you need a bigger string trimmer or something like that, maybe. I don't know if you're able-bodied enough to do it. A lot of land. Oof. Yeah, I feel you on that one. I'd say any type of like, riding lawnmower with a 20 horsepower motor would do it. I don't know, you farm? Or is it just a lot of overgrowth stuff? If you got a lot of overgrowth, you better get yourself a big lawn tractor and a big ass brush pull behind mower, and you can get it all done. Oh yeah, goats will do it. Oh yeah, goats will do it. But you got to partial off the land if you're going to use goats. You got to put fencing in, and you got to move them from paddock to paddock to paddock to get them to mow it down. And you got to have a lot of goats. It takes more than one goat if you're going to use goats to basically eat up a bunch of stuff. We have to rent that equipment. You got to rent it? Oof. Yeah. I'd say you'd probably want to invest in something like that. But, if you're going to rent something like that, it could be problematic and expensive to maintain it if you own it, Snoops is in the basement. Snoop's in the basement. Okay, she's in the basement. Yeah, goats would tear it up, but, you need more than one goat, and they could be pretty ornery. I don't know if you've ever owned goats. Oof. When I was a kid, my grandpa had goats. Them things, they'd buck you off a hill, man. Especially when you're trying to do lawn work or you're trying to go down in the garden or something. They'll follow you around and buck the shit out of you. You get no rest. Nope, never. Okay. But yeah, goats, they're pretty easy to take care of, but you still got to, put them up somewhere, like in a barn or something in the winter with the cows and all the rest of them. Because if you don't have a place to put them in the winter and keep down straw, they'll freaking die from exposure. How you doing, Jonathan? How you doing, sir? Hope you're doing good. I don't know, man. I don't know if my equipment can handle, really high brush. I mean, I could do like little yards and shit. That's basically what I do, WJ. I do like, well, the one big piece of property, I keep it well maintenance, where if I do have to go out there, it's not going to be a huge ordeal, like once a month type of thing. I like those little ones, so cute. Which one? The fainting ones? The fainting ones are kind of neat. My aunt used to have some fainting ones. My grandpa had some. I don't even know what they were called, dude. Honestly, I'm not into like goats. I couldn't tell you the breed of them. My grandpa could have told you the breed of them, but he's not with us anymore. We had goats, we had sheep, we had cows. When I was a kid, we had horses and mules, all in that order in the 80s or mid 90s when I lived there with him. When I got adopted, you know, he ran a whole farm. I mean, my uncle right now is running a farm, and he grows about everything now. He used to have pigs, but he couldn't afford to keep paying on the feed bill. I mean, honestly, I think he got rid of them or had them, took them to the meat market and turned them into pork chops and stuff. But he had a bunch of pigs at one time, but I don't think he has them anymore. I think he's got chickens though. Chickens will actually save you a lot of money. Chickens are great. If you got chickens, they're great for like you can use their manure for gardening. You could use them to eat up all the parasites in your garden. You won't have to use any insecticide or anything like that, and you can run a organic garden with chickens. Chickens are great for that. They'll eat everything, including your plants. Prayers for Arizona. What's going on in Arizona there, Jonathan? Yeah, we definitely had send some prayers where they're needed, right? Praying for the Mormons who had a church burnt down and people got shot in a church in Michigan near Flint as well today. It's crazy. Eat them with barbecue. I think he did make a bunch of. I think he had pork ribs and pork roast and stuff all like that when he you know processed up all of his pigs. He gave me some of the meat too. I still got some in the freezer. I haven't eaten it all. But he had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 pigs, man. Let's see, it's flooding big time and 4 people passed away. Oh, yeah, that's bad. Definitely pray for Arizona, man. They're having flooding issues right now. According to Jonathan, 4 people passed away. That's pretty bad. I thought there was a hurricane coming too, isn't there? On the East Coast, there's supposed to be a hurricane about to hit Florida, maybe, or did it veer off? I can't remember. Something like that. I have to look it up. Yeah, prayers for all of them. The news showed it. Oh, the news showed it. Okay, definitely. I'll be praying for Arizona, man. That sucks. Yeah, flooding's pretty bad. I've been in one flood in my life, and that was after a hurricane. It was pretty bad. It took out the whole bottom of my apartment when I was living in Cocoa Beach. It was basically it's enlightening. Let you know how small you really are to God's wrath. You know what I mean? Because you never know when you're going to pass away, You always got to pray for others. But, if you've never been in that type of situation, you don't know. If you've never been in a life and death situation, because there's a lot of people that can't get away from them situations because they're like on oxygen or their health is so bad that they need help in order to be rescued, because there's, people like during Katrina, man, that were so old they needed to be put in facilities that they were basically, you know, in them hospitals, basically, playing God, basically saying this person is not priority, and they ended up dying in hospitals and stuff. This shows you how you know short life really is, and how fragile life really is when you have situations like that, I mean, just a blackout for a week could cause irreparable damage to people who are in need of urgent care. They need the power to keep going so they can survive. I feel sorry for people like that. They get stuck in that situation and they got nobody there to help them, you know. I mean, I've been in situations like that, but I've never been like to that point where I couldn't get myself out of those situations. But there's people in those situations that can't, and they're stuck in that situation. It's bad for them, and their families can't do anything about it, and they gotta go like leave to get food and water, and they can't sit there with them, and or try to get them help, and there's no help for them to be had. There was people on roofs and stuff in Louisiana in 2005. It was surreal, man. It was surreal. I feel for people like that. But I mean, some things you got to deal with in life, uh, that you might have to deal with in the future, that the way the state of the world's going now, I mean, if we get into a situation like what's going to happen here soon, maybe, possibly, if we get into a third world war or a conflict like that, those are the type of vulnerable people that will be gone. And you're going to have to come to terms with, you know, not being able to help these people. You're going to have to find a way to help yourself and those that you can help. You know what I mean? But sometimes you're just going to have to, like, you know, you're just going to have that mindset, because come in the future, you people don't realize how bad it's going to be. When there's no power, there's no way to get to medical facilities. They won't exist. You only have to rely on yourselves and those people you can help, and those people that you can't help. It's a bad situation. You know what I mean? People don't realize that, really. That in a bad situation, like a survival situation like that, it's, you guys are going to have to come to terms with some things, because we've been desensitized to a lot of these things, and we don't even know that happens in real life. I grew up in the country. I've had to deal with things like this. When you live in the country, but you've been basically, you know stuck in a closet your whole life, and you've never had to deal with that kind of situation in your life, or even in a bad scenario like that, you don't know how to deal with it. People will just break down and just like want to, you know give up on life. No, you should be strong. You have to be strong. But unfortunately, the way our society is, it's made a lot of people numb to that or weak to that, to not know that kind of thing happens, and they don't know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So, you guys need to harden your hearts a little to some things in life, and you got to pick up and move on, because if you don't, you'll get stuck in that mindset and you won't know what to do. You know, people who survive are the ones who are willing to harden themselves a little bit to the tragedies around them, because you're going to start seeing a lot of it here soon. And you're going to have to come to this realization with yourself that all the norms of society and all the ease of society are gone. And the only person that you can rely on in life is yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, then you'll succumb to that despair in your life, and you will possibly perish yourself. I mean, look, in ancient times, man, people were dying left and right, man. People used to put people on the back burner if they couldn't help them. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say people were, so sick that, they knew they weren't going to survive. They stayed with them, though. They tried to take care of them as best as they could. But they knew at the end of the day that they weren't going to survive. You have to come to terms with that fact. You can't save everybody. You save the few to save the many. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't realize that, though, now these days. They think they can save everybody. You're not going to be able to save everybody, you know? But unfortunately, the way society is, people only care about themselves. They only want to save themselves. But you try to make those who can't save themselves more comfortable and try to take care of them to the best of your abilities. And then, if they pass, they pass, but you got to come to the realization, you mourn for them in your own way, but you got to keep moving in life. Because if you don't keep moving in life, you're going to become a statistic. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't realize that. They're so comfortable within their norms. They don't they shield themselves from things like this, like it's never going to happen. I've seen it happen multiple times in my days. I've seen needless violence on other people, and you think to yourself, like, man, only if I could have done more. You can't do more. You can only do what you can, and try to make people as comfortable as they can in their situation. And then you pray for them and you try to do the best that you can for them. And then you got to do what you got to do, because life is not easy. Life is hard as F, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all like-minded and strong people. I think we could probably hack it, you know what I'm saying? But if you can't hack it, you need to get yourselves in that mindset that there's going to be personal loss in your life, that you're going to have to find a way to deal with it, and you got to find a way to comfort yourself and those around you if you have compassion for others. If you don't have compassion for your others, and you're the type of person that says, "Oh, it's better to them than me," then you're no better than the person that's not helping. You know what I mean? You'd be better off being more compassionate to others, and try to help in any way you can. But unfortunately, people are not like that. They're closed-minded now. How you doing, Kimmy? Good to see you, by the way. Hope you're doing well with your grandbaby and your son and your daughter. Hope everything's going well with you. How's the trailer living situation? Did you figure out your power deal? Did you get yourself a new computer or whatnot? I know you said you were getting a new computer. Fancy, what's my name? Hi. Did I not say hi to who is this fancy person anyways? I don't see him. They must be playing John Cena tricks on me before I get the 5-knuckle shuffle. I think they were in here earlier, Kimmy. I probably bored them to death. They're probably going to fall asleep here in a minute. Fancy's probably in bed right now. I'm better than NyQuil, bro. I'm telling you. I put people to sleep. Who needs a sleeper hold? All you gotta do is watch one of my streams. I'm so boring. I put mofos to sleep, man. Oh, dang it. This tape keeps coming off my phone, for Pete's sakes. Probably gonna get a good look at my legs. They're freaking all tore up from briar bushes and shit from yesterday. You got a laptop? Get on you, Kimmy. You know how to edit, don't you? You start editing some more videos and shit. More your eating videos and stuff. Not true. What's not true? I'm just messing with Fancy. I ain't meaning nothing behind it, Chihuahua Mama. Let's see here. I try to. I might be doing some new videos next month. I don't know. I've been trying to find new ways to make videos or new ideas on making certain videos and stuff. I haven't been motivated to doing it lately. I thought I'd just go live and talk about a few things. I'm not boring. Come on. I put you to sleep, Chihuahua Mama. I bet you got your pillow and your good time, happy night sleep tea right beside you, and you're just comforting it all up into your pillow and about to pass out from listening to me talk. I don't know. I piss a lot of people off, honestly. You can't make everybody happy, guys. I mean, you might get some people in here that support the other side, that you might piss off for something you say, You can't make everybody happy. Let's see, what are you talking about? You'd have to go back into the beginning of the stream, Kimmy. I'm not going to rehash everything I was already talking about. I can't even remember most of the time what I'm talking about because I'm so boring. You put me to sleep. See, I told you. I told you I put faces to sleep. I'm doing my job. This is a REM sleep stream right here, guys. ASMR. I'm just joking. But I don't know. I try to bring you guys a stream every week or so if I can. I don't usually keep them up. I might keep this one up. I'm not sure. I'm setting on my lazy boy drinking coffee. I enjoy your stories. Some people think I'm full of shit, Chihuahua Mama. I kind of, I don't know if I disagree or agree with that kind of thing. I don't know. A lot of people say I'm boring. I don't know. I will hung sorry. What's hung sorry? You from? Is that a new Chinese dish that you're trying out? That's with made out of bamboo rats and shit. Hey Kimmy, you see those Chinese people eating bamboo rats? They raise them in little pens and they feed them bamboo and fatten them up. They get so jiggly and furry and fat. They're like a delicacy in China. They pay a fortune to eat those things. Ugh, eating rat. I mean, yeah, I think I'll pass on that one. I don't even know if they sell them in the United States, to be honest. I finally got a response from about the computer. They are sending me a shipping label. Yeah, they do that a lot, Snoops. If you return your computer, if you still got a warranty, they'll send you a shipping label. You just print it out, tape it on your box, and then you call whatever service came and picked it up, and they'll come and pick it up for you on your porch. You know, just make sure you're there when they do it. I've sent a lot of stuff back like that, you know, computer tech stuff. I had to send a couple computers back that I was working on for customers that I couldn't fix because it was way too far gone. And I ended up sending it back to the manufacturers so they could put new motherboards or components in it. You know what I mean? Depending on how bad the damage was, like, you know, if it was surge damage, it ruined a motherboard. I can't. Well, I could fix it. They would have to pay me more to put a motherboard and stuff like that. If it's still under warranty, I do a lot of that. They should get you squared away, Snoops. Go back and check it out. Yeah, oh, it's a thing. You could look it up, Kimmy. They eat bamboo rats. It's gross. Ugh. They're cute and cuddly, though. I don't know if you've ever seen a bamboo rat. They look like a furry little rat panda that eats bamboo. They got to feed them bamboo because it keeps their teeth trimmed down. Because if they don't eat bamboo, their teeth will grow up into their brain and kill them, basically. Did you get those bowling balls yet? Well, I know you were supposed to send me some from the factory that you work at. You told me you were extra polishing them up on that panel that night so you can get a nice shiny hue and sheen on them. So when I take them bowling, that'll blind everybody from the lights. So that way I can win my bowling competition. Totally. I'm waiting for those, by the way. I mean, haven't got them in the mail yet, but, you know, still waiting on them. Please smash the screen. I appreciate that. They don't have to smash the like button if they don't want to be honest. I can care less. If I got 9 people in here, I'm happy to have my 7 regular people that are my friends. I don't consider people as fans. I do kind of geek out sometimes about celebrities, but again, they're only human beings. You shouldn't like idolize people, honestly. You know, you shouldn't idolize people. You should put your faith in God, and you know, it's just another distraction of the world to try to get you away from, you know, believing in God and stuff like that. It's just a distraction. And I mean, hell, they call them idols. They're not idols. They're human beings. You don't put your faith in something hollow like a human being or an idol. Put your faith in God and Jesus. You know what I mean? That's where your faith and devotion should go to. I mean, I'm not telling you guys who to worship or whatnot. I mean, whatever God you believe in, you should put your faith and your devotion into that God. Period. You know what I mean? Again, my faith is no overlong. I'm not trying to put my faith out on nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Well, my phone's going dead, y'all, And it's been good talking to y'all. I just wanted to do a daily stream on about a few things, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But please put it in the comments and tell me I'm wrong. And I'll try to get back to everybody's comments that I can who watched the replay. Hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful, productive Sunday. God bless every one of you. Love and keep you in my prayers. I hope you all keep me in your prayers. And God bless y'all. Take it easy. Thank you, everybody showing up. Shout out to Snoops, Mac 11 inch, Chihuahua Mama. Always a pleasure, Chihuahua Mama. And shout out to John Cena in the chat. I can't see that person before I get the 5 knuckle shuffle. Fancy was my name. And shout out to, let's see, other people who showed up. Steve Yoakum. Shout out to Jonathan. If you guys haven't shouted each other out or loved each other today, please give each other a metaphorical hug. God bless. Love you all. Take it easy. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this every day or every weekend or so when I do a stream. Take it easy, guys. This is your old pal Hondo. Hondo out, y'all. Love you too, Snoops. Now, if I can figure out how to shut the stream down.